welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Now, the man behind me, Damian Lillard, oh, he a bad man. But he said a quote that I absolutely disagree with. Dame Lillard said, I don't agree with the ring or bust thing. I don't subscribe to that narrative. Now, wait a second now, Dame. You telling me that you don't think rings mean a thing? I don't know. I mean, maybe we value rings too much, and maybe we value oxygen too much. I don't know. Maybe we value a ring too much. Maybe we value water too much. I don't know. Maybe we value a ring too much. Maybe we value money too much. That we might all actually value too much. Okay, anyway, rings. They've always meant something. Historically, rings first started in Egypt, y'all. Now, this ain't a history lesson, but you should at least know what you're talking about. Rings started in Egypt. Why? Because the circular symbol was a symbol of eternity. If you win a ring in the NBA or the NFL or any pro sports league, they gonna know you for the rest of time. But they also valued rings in Egypt because the circular shape reminded them, it was reminiscent of the sun and the moon, two things in which people worship. If you win a title in the NBA or the NFL, then you are to some degree worshipped by the fans. Rings have always meant things in sports and outside of sports. So to me, I don't get how you can say that you don't subscribe to the narrative of winning a ring. But I got to bring in an NBA expert, been covering the game since 1993 for his thoughts. Slick Ric Bucher, show up behind me, big dog. Slick Ric, my guy. Ooh, I like that. Purple on purple, very monochromatic. Slick Ric, do we put too much value in winning titles?
Yes, we put too much value on winning titles. We don't put enough value on winning. And there's a difference between the two. Winning rings is one thing. Winning games is another. And the idea that I believe that Damian Lillard is presenting, and I didn't know I was going to have to fight against an argument based on hieroglyphics in this, but I'm going to try nonetheless and take up for Damian Lillard, is that the ring doesn't define who he is as a player or his level of success. And that's where we are right now. So I'm going to throw a question to you, Acho, about this very thing. Over the last previous three seasons, who do you think has won more regular season games? Damian Lillard or LeBron James?
Probably LeBron?
Yes, LeBron. One more regular season game he's won than Damian Lillard. Who has been to the playoffs more times in the last 3 years?
I'll say Dame
Lillard or LeBron James?
Dame. LeBron missed
Damian
a year.
Lillard has been all 3 times. LeBron has been only twice. Now, when we look at the context of these two gentlemen, what they've done over the previous 3 years, what are we thinking? Oh, what's wrong with Damian Lillard? Why hasn't he had more? Why hasn't he done something? As opposed to LeBron James, LeBron won a ring. It was in Orlando. It was in the bubble. It was with a 3-month layoff. But the fact of the matter is, we put so much emphasis on that ring that we miss who is actually winning. Damian Lillard is winning as much as he possibly could under the circumstances. In fact, I might make the argument that he's actually winning more than he should. 8 consecutive playoff appearances Damian Lillard has made with the Portland Trail Blazers, and we scoff at that. We laugh at that. We suggest that, well, what else do you have for me, Damian? And yet, in a small market like Portland, 8 consecutive playoff appearances and going toe-to-toe with LeBron James in winning games, I would say is a pretty amazing accomplishment, and one that we should value more so than one run in the Magic Kingdom in Orlando to win a ring.
Slick. Well, you know what? Let me talk to Joy. Can I talk to Joy? I recently took an allergen test. I wanted to see, like, am I allergic to things? Passed. Wasn't allergic to anything. I just found out I'm allergic to nonsense. Because, Slick, that was absolute nonsense. But I still love you, Slick. Now, Joy, unfortunately, was saying some of the same sentiments as Slick Ric. Here's my thing, Joy. winning in the regular season, it doesn't mean anything. Somebody could ask me, hey, Acho, how many regular season games did you win in the NFL? I don't know. I mean, I know I went to the playoffs once. Hey, Acho, how many regular season games did you win in college? I don't know. I know I went to a national championship once. I know I won a Big 12 title. I know I went to a Rose Bowl. I don't know how many regular season games I won, 37. I don't know that. So with that being said, like, we talking about winning in the regular season. Winning does not matter in sports unless you win a ring. How do we know that? Because when we talk about the greats who didn't win, the only reason we talk about them is because they didn't win, a la Dan Marino, a la Charles Barkley. The only reason we talk about those guys like, oh, yeah, they didn't. Who's the best to never have won? That's how we bring them up. Anyway, Joy, do we put too much value on winning a title?
I was listening to Rick, and I wasn't necessarily agreeing with everything you were saying, but now you're making me feel like I agree with Rick. Where I would disagree with you about the regular season is I think winning during the regular season, first of all, we know it matters. Otherwise, you wouldn't have playoff seeding. Otherwise, you wouldn't have home court advantage. So winning during the regular season absolutely matters in the course of the goals that you're building. We know what it means to win your division in football. Like that does matter. It's the first step in reaching your goal, which is winning a championship. So we align there. That's the ultimate goal, is winning a championship. But winning during the regular season certainly matters. And I think that if you are a player that is consistently a winner during the regular season, that's very important to the most important part of sports, which outside of winning is what? Fans. Fans care about you being a regular season winner. Fans care about going to games and being competitive. Fans care about having hope at the beginning of the season. So, yes, I think being a regular season winner is actually very important. But I do agree with you that the ultimate goal is to win a championship. I'm a competitive person. I don't even like playing beach volleyball with my friends unless we have the rules. Okay? We're not obviously just hitting the ball around. Who's the winner? Who's the loser? Is this the line? Is it in or out? If you just want to play around, don't be on my team because I'm trying to win. That's what this is all about. It's about competition. It's about reaching ultimate goals. So while I don't agree with you that the regular season is irrelevant, and even in the course of championships, it's very relevant, but I do agree that the ultimate goal is to win a championship. We're not all just participating in book club.
Well said, Joy. And I would think that you would still play beach volleyball. Yes, you want to win. Yes, you want to keep score. But if somebody said you're not going to win every game, would you still play? Yeah, you'd still play because you want to see how many games you can win. That's the whole thing. It's the challenge of being able to accomplish something. And let's get to the definition of nonsense. It makes no sense. Here's what makes no sense, is the suggestion that the only reason that we talk about John Stockton or Karl Malone or Charles Barkley is because they haven't won a ring. What? That makes no sense. We talk about them because they were great players, and the one thing that is not in their cabinet, on their mantle, on their shelf, is a ring. And this is the difficulty here, because until now, with player empowerment, it wasn't always within the realm, and still isn't in many cases, in most cases, isn't within the realm of a player to determine whether he has a championship team around him. It's simply not. You either have that opportunity in a certain year, Houston Rockets, Hakeem Olajuwon, Michael Jordan retires, the door is open. An array of options or elements beyond the control of a player determines whether he is going to win a ring or not. So to say it's ring or bust, I 100% agree with Damian Lillard. But let's look at why we're having this conversation now, because player empowerment has become a thing. And the idea of I should do everything and anything possible to win a ring is what I need to do and should do. That's the only way I'm validated as a superstar player, right? So now it's, well, if I don't think I can win a ring here, if I don't think they're going to bring it to me, let me go join somebody else someplace else. For 7 years now, we have had that player empowerment. I would say that ever since LeBron left Miami and went back to Cleveland and said, trade Andrew Wiggins for Kevin Love and I'll come back and we'll try to make this happen. We've had 7 years of player empowerment, players not just joining other teams and joining other superstars, but basically dictating who's going to coach, who else is on the roster, the whole deal. 7 years. We got Kawhi Leonard with the Clippers. We've got Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving with the Brooklyn Nets. We've got LeBron both in Cleveland and now with the Lakers. Get me Anthony Davis. So that's 7 years and 4 teams that have worked on this premise that I have to do everything and anything to get a ring. And how many championships do we have out of those 7 years and those 4 teams? We have 2. The one where the Cavs backed into it, beating the Warriors in the series after falling behind 3-1, and we have the bubble championship in Orlando. So that's 2 out of 7. So for me to believe that this is what defines greatness and that players should just ring chase at all costs because otherwise they're not validated, you're going to have to give me a little more evidence than 2 rings
big dog.
in 7 years with 4 teams.
Slick, there's far too much winning on this set for me to allow this losers talk on this show. There's just far too much accomplishments between you I'm looking at, between Joy Taylor to my right, and between myself for us to allow this much loser spiel. Slick, when's the last time
Joy, be careful. He's trying to suck us in. He's trying to make us feel like he's friendly fire. Like, I'm with you guys. I love you guys. Let me help you guys. Yeah. Okay.
But Joy, when's the last time you went to a fast food restaurant? Week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Yeah, let's call it 3 weeks.
3 weeks, bet. Slick, last time you went to call to Chick-fil-A. When the last time you went to a Chick-fil-A, big dog? Month, year, week, whatever the case may be.
Years.
Cool.
Years.
I went to Chick-fil-A yesterday. And when you walk into Chick-fil-A, if you look right, the very first thing that you all will see, go do it at your neighborhood Chick-fil-A or Popeyes. Mac and cheese is great. First thing you'll do at your neighborhood Chick-fil-A, you'll see is Employee of the Month. Why? Because we always highlight excellence. Whatever school you went to, whether it is Columbia, whether it's Cornell, whether it's Pepperdine, whether it's Texas, whatever the case may be, there's a valedictorian. Why? Because we always highlight excellence. For those of here watching the show that are people of faith, you can look into the Bible. All runners run a race, but only one receives a prize. So run as though you're trying to receive a prize. Why? Because we always highlight excellence. Yet here I am with 2 excellent individuals who refuse to acknowledge excellence. There's a point in winning. The only point you play sports is to win. Yes, you play to make money. Dame has lots of that. Some athletes play to attract people, significant others. Dame already got that. So at this junction in time, what is left for Dame to do except win a ring? Slick, people say they don't want something if they know they can't attain that thing. That's a bar, and I'll let that settle in for the viewers at home. People say they don't want something if they know they can't attain that thing. Joy Taylor, I think that's what Dame is doing right now, saying he doesn't want something because he knows only in Portland, because Dame is a dog, he can't attain it.
I feel like I'm in hot take church.
Somebody pass the offering.
Until they attain that thing. Look. This is a very nuanced conversation, so we could probably do this for the next half an hour and still probably not agree on all of it. But to piggyback off of what Rick was just saying about player empowerment, that's sort of my issue-ish with the Dame situation. I don't have any problem with Dame staying with Portland and never winning a championship. It's not going to change anything about his legacy to me if he doesn't win a championship. He's still going to be an all-time great player. I agree with you. We talk about Dan Marino because he was an all-time great, because he was a legend. We talk about Jim Kelly because he was a legend. We talk about Charles Barkley because they were legendary, John Stockton, Karl Malone, so on and so forth. We all know they didn't win rings, but we know what they contributed to their sports. We know what they gave to the game. We know the excellence that we watched. We know the excellence that we watched when we see Damian Lillard. But we also know when we talk about him, if he stays in Portland, there is a good chance they won't win a championship because the nuance of the sport has changed because of player empowerment. Now, I understand what you're saying. There are still other ways to win a championship, right? Like we just saw the Bucks do it without, quote unquote, player empowerment. But Giannis is a freak. And they were able to put together some pieces. And they were perseverant with it. They were patient with it. And they did win a championship. And that's why I kind of push back on the player empowerment thing. Portland is a very unique situation. Do we think he's going to win a championship there? I don't think so. You have to look at the conference. Who will he have to overcome? Do they match up with the teams that they'll have to overcome? It is a tall task for him to win a championship there. It's not going to change how I view him as an excellent player. But at the end of the day, we are competing for championships here. We're not competing for regular season championships. We're not competing for individual awards. The purpose of a sport is to have a winner. If you are trying to win, you're trying to win a championship, hence you're chasing a ring. because player empowerment has come into play. Some players will choose to do it that way. Some players will choose to take the path that Giannis took with the Bucks, which, by the way, he may not continue to take forever. He may decide to leave and go and do the player empowerment thing. We don't know what's in store for his career. I don't judge Damian Lillard for staying with Portland, but winning a championship is the ultimate goal any way that you slice it.
Sure, and it's still a goal of Damian Lillard's to win a ring. He's not saying that he's not trying to win a ring or that he doesn't want a ring or that he doesn't value a ring. He's saying that if I don't get a ring, that doesn't determine whether I've been successful or not. And Acho, I have to go back to your fast food reference. And brother, I love you. I love your analogies. I truly do. Brings a whole different spin to the sports world. It's much appreciated.
Here it is.
But
there it is.
We got to use them accurately. So when we talk about a fast food franchise and we talk about the Employee of the Month, that's an individual award. Nobody is leaving a particular I'm not leaving Popeyes in order to go to this other franchise because you know what? They're winning Franchise of the Year. No, I'm going to stay where I am and I'm going to be the best employee I can be and I'm going to get my photo up on the wall by being the best I can be. And whether my franchise is the best or not is beyond my control. I am not the manager. I'm an employee. So I'm going to do the best I can with what I've got. And if people don't look at my franchise as being serving the best chicken in the damn country, I am okay with that because I am doing the best that I possibly can. And how that is a loser mentality, you're going to have to explain to me perhaps on some other show because we're probably out of time.
Look, if you don't care about winning rings and you just want to run around and jump, Dame Lillard should have ran track. But as long as he cares about winning these rings, then keep playing basketball.